Welcome, team. This section we're going to look at, enhanced reading skills, and then the next section will look at enhancing our writing skills. The reason that I came up with this two topic to talk to you was because we have done as class. Most of you have done the actually every single one of you in this class have done the LLM test, and it has reflected to me that reading and writing skills are the two skills that we really need to improve. Also as a group, but also more importantly is for this particular assessment, assessment 2, it actually requires significant reading and writing skills, and we're not too focused on the numerical numerical skills as well. So I'm going to run through with you, and I prepared this session fresh and new for you. So if there's any questions, please let me know. If you identify any mistakes, my apology in advance. In my health condition, I did my best to hopefully bring out some important and useful content for you. So what I've done is under section 10, because it's directly relevant to our internal audit report. I have added two sections. The first section is enhancing writing skills, and the section is enhancing. The first section is enhancing reading skills, and the other section is enhancing writing skills. And so in 10.1, if you want the lecture slides that we are using today, you can go to additional resources and you can click on the lecture slides. And it should bring you to the lecture slides today. You will also find very similar content, in fact, a bit more content in the book on eLearn, where you have additional videos you can watch on, what is comprehension, how do we improve our comprehension skills while we are reading learn a lot of information. Particularly for those students which English is not your first language. Just like me, English is not my first language as well, and I find that practicing guided reading and practicing comprehension questioning, which is what we'll discuss today, significantly help me in improving my comprehension skills and writing my essays in my study and work pursuit. Okay, so let's look at our. I'll download the information together with you as well. Our lecture slides. Okay, let's look at our lecture slide today, which is enhancing reading skills. Okay, excellent. Enhancing reading skills. So before I start this session, I'd like to acknowledge the cultural host nation of the ACT, the Ngunnawal people, as Canberra's first inhabitants and traditional custodians of the ACT and region. We recognize the special relationship and connection to country the Ngunnawal people have with this area since the time immemorial. CIT respectfully acknowledges the significant contribution of the Ngunnawal people to the life of Canberra. We also acknowledge other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples that have made this place their home. So an overview of our session today, we'll have some welcoming notes, but also we'll talk about our online study protocols. In addition, we will have a look at introduction of what is, what is guided reading and comprehension reading, the overview of introduction to enhancing reading skill section. Also, we'll look at review of previous learning in this course in general. And then we'll look at guided readings. We have a guided reading section together with comprehension questioning and a class activity. So I think topic 4 to 6, we probably do it hand in hand. And also we'll have Q&A a time for you, and also I'll appreciate your feedback as well. How we can do better, how I can support you further to enhance the reading skills. So what are the learning outcomes for today's section is by the end of the sessions, I hope that you will be able to engage in structured reading sessions with guided support. And also you have a chance to practice comprehension skills through questioning to focus on understanding and summarizing the content. And this is particularly important, right? Because we are doing AT2. And we had a brief look at the assessment too. The key, one of the key foundation skills for you to be successful is we can summarize and collate the information, the content in the question into the internal audit report. Okay, so that's what we call the comprehension skills. Okay, now may I go through with you a few learning protocol. I appreciate that you're all punctual. And also, please turn on mute, which you have when you're not speaking. I really appreciate if you can turn on your camera if possible. So, and it's not for me as well. It's for you, because I can gauge your understanding. And see how I can best support you if there's any misunderstanding, like if I can clarify key concepts to you. So I really appreciate if you can turn on your camera as well. And please, we have chat room. You can raise your hand if you ask questions, but do engage with each other respectfully. A couple of administration side of this class. I have already previously seek your approval, but I'm going to seek your approval again. The session will be recorded. Please let me know if you do not consent with the recording. You can raise your hand right now and we'll stop the recording. In addition, please may I remind you to adhere to the CIT's student conduct and privacy procedure. And please do not send unauthorized sharing, please do not share unauthorized material, and protect the content and ensure privacy in our interaction in the class. Also, your privacy is very important to CIT and to me. So I have one of the privacy measure that we do to provide for you is your unique login, credentials, and secure access to eLearn. So please make sure you update your password regularly when you see fit, and also make sure that just we abide to the CIT privacy policies as well. Quickly go through some WHS requirement as well. I go through with you every sections when we are online, when we have this online section, learning section. So please be aware of your ergonometric setup around you. If you are using if you're in library and you're using shared laptop, keyboard, mouse, or desk, make sure you clean the equipment before and after you use. Please, if you need a break, you can get a regular screen break whenever you need. It's, we online studying, we're more flexible, but I just want to make sure that you, if you need to get some water, raise your hand, let me know, or just, help yourself make yourself comfortable in class. So yeah, so look around to make sure you have a safe workplace. If there's any issue, seek help, let us know, and we'll see what we can do for you. Okay. If you have any questions during the class or you need support, there is a raise hand button in WebEx. So you can raise your hand or leave me a message in chat. I'll check the chat room very frequently during the section. If there's any issue, just let me know. Hi, Kuzlin. Good to see you. Let me open my chat room as well. Okay, we will do the roll call. So just so you know, I've already did the roll call today. We have a full class. Welcome everyone back to this class. So introduction, in this section, we will be focusing on building effective reading skills through guided reading. Guided reading basically means I'll read with you and we'll read together and we read aloud as well. So that we are very focused on, the content, the flow of the information provided in AT2. Also, we'll look at some comprehension strategies. How can we improve our comprehension while we are reading, a lot of information? The goal of today's section is to enhance understanding and retention using practical techniques such as structure reading section and also comprehension questioning. What I'm using right now, just for your information only, is something called a cognitive load theory and also constructivist theory, which we enhances your understanding via active participation and support and peer support, and help you to reduce the information intake and become more effective readers. Any question for now? Speed's okay, everything's okay, I can continue? Yep, okay, good. Next, let's look at what we've learned. So in this course so far, we've learned many technical aspects of the internal controls. We've learned cybersecurity. We've also learned the control and witnesses and also witnesses in control and also the actual good controls in the following process, including accounts receivable and cash receipts, accounts payable and cash payment, stock, payroll, and no current and non-current assets, also internal audit and reporting. Now, it is very important that when we go through our assessment tool, we revisit the concept and the controls we've learned in our previous teaching sections topics, so we sort of can link back, what are the key weaknesses that we've come across. So it's a busy slide. Apologize for that, but it's just basically a review of what I'm going to do in the next couple of in this session. We'll approach AT2 in a structured reading manner. We'll particularly look at the internal audit report related readings. In this guide, I'll introduce key sections of the internal audit report in your assessment tool with you. I'll also allow you time to read the questions and assessment sections independently as well. We'll make sure that we understand the key content. We'll read aloud by myself, and some of you can also read aloud in the class with me. And we have a very supportive environment and peer support environment, and fostering a collaborative learning experience. We've been together in this session for the last 12 weeks, so I'm really appreciating that we are grateful that we have a very good group this year. So let's support each other and be a better reader. This approach aligns with the cognitive load theory, where information is presented in a manageable segment, and sure learners can focus on comprehension without feeling overwhelmed. So the key part is we read a little bit, and then we think about where does the information belong to, in the actual response template. Now, while we're reading, we also have comprehension questioning as well. So I'll go beyond, we will go beyond together on just the reading, but we need to truly understand and analyze the content. That is, with this information, which section of the template that it should go to, and what is it trying to tell us, okay? So in this session, after reading each passage, while we're doing comprehension reading, I'll prompt you and ask you questions. Perhaps we'll identify some key weaknesses in the assessment tool. We'll look at the primary focus and collect the audit's overall purpose. So that will be what we're doing. And now, before we start, before we start looking at 82 together, which is a class activity, I'd like to share with you this video, particularly I find useful on reading comprehension. Now, let me just stop sharing for now. I'll just make sure that I share my audio with you as well. So you can hear my video.
Once again, on the journey to becoming great readers, we are going to add another tool to our reading comprehension toolbox. The tool we're going to be looking at today is questioning. Questioning is simply asking questions of the text. You may already be doing some of these things, but by making a conscious effort, we will be able to improve our reading comprehension. In order to comprehend something, to understand something, our brains need to engage with it. Our brains need to interact with it so that it makes sense, especially if it's something which is unknown, which doesn't make sense to us yet. Asking questions is a great way for us to go about understanding things in a text, or new things in general. By asking questions, we aim to understand things that we find confusing or things we don't yet understand. There are many different types of questions we can ask as readers. These are just some of the questions that we can ask.
Let's try on YouTube to see whether we can, yep, skip verification. We can go to YouTube.
Hello and welcome to this video. Once again, on the journey to becoming great readers, we are going to add another tool to our reading comprehension toolbox.
Apology that
The
just
tool we're
repeating
going
ourselves.
to be looking at today is questioning. Questioning is simply asking questions of the text. You may already be doing some of these things, but by making a conscious effort, we will be able to improve our reading comprehension. In order to comprehend something, to understand something, our brains need to engage with it. Our brains need to interact with it so that it makes sense, especially if it's something which is unknown, which doesn't make sense to us yet. Asking questions is a great way for us to go about understanding things in a text, or new things in general. By asking questions, we aim to understand things that we find confusing or things we don't yet understand. There are many different types of questions we can ask as readers. These are just some of the questions that we can ask. If there's a piece of information or word which we don't understand, we can ask a clarifying question. We can then continue reading to find out if the word or idea is clarified, or we could use our skills in inferencing to infer what the answer to our question might be, or we could go to another source like a dictionary or the internet to find an answer. Clarifying questions could be, who was John Howard? Or what does malignant mean? We can ask predicting questions if we're curious about what a text might be about or what might happen next. We may even be able to infer what might happen next as we read.
Now, this is particularly important, right? That's what when we say, given it's a task, assessment task that we're doing, we should really also, or before we read the material, the content, we could also have a look at the response template first. So when you look at the response template, there's an outline that shows you what this internal audit report is expecting. And so therefore, once you have some basic understanding of the requirement of the internal audit report template and the exercise, when you read the materials, the information for the assessment, you can predict the question. You can sort of predict, okay, so this is what happened. And so what do I do with the information, so this information relates to staff responsibility. So then I'll highlight the information that's relevant to staff responsibility and make sure that that information is then captured in your response template. Okay, so that prediction questions is also, very important, and that's why I, in the previous section, I also did the same, which is let's look at our response template first before we even look at our 82 question information, which we know that's a lot of information there, right? And a lot of reading. Sorry, continue. Predicting questions.
We can see if our predictions or inferences are correct. We could ask questions like, what is the book going to be about? Or, I wonder what will happen next. As we read, our questions will be answered. We can also ask connecting questions, which can link us or the world or other texts to what we are currently reading. Questions like, how would I react in this situation? Or, where else can we see this situation in the world? Or even,
Now, this is relevant to the role play, right? Just to recap, remember in the 82 information, what our role, how would I react in a place of an internal auditor? So your role is an internal auditor. Your company's been engaged to do an internal audit to look at the control weaknesses and provide recommendation for a recruitment agency company. Yeah, so therefore you will need to connect ourselves using the content in the role that we are playing. So we are playing a role of an internal auditor. So when you look at the question, you put an eye, you will look at the information with a lens of a internal control auditor. Yeah.
I wonder what Harry Potter would do in this situation. The answers to these questions must be inferred. There's no right or wrong answer. If we ask questions as we read, and we seek answers either by using other materials, reading further in our texts, or making inferences, it allows us to grasp the text more tightly and enables us to delve more deeply into it, increasing our reading comprehension. Asking questions can give us direction for our understanding. It can help us get to where we want to go. And ultimately, if we get good at asking questions, we will become better readers.
Excellent. Okay, so let's start our class activity. I am going to share on my screen, and please open the document if you require as well. I'm going to share on my screen two documents. The first document is our assessment 2, 82 internal audit control response template. And another document I'm going to open is on eLearn, the information about the company and what is required to do to respond to the template, okay? So in here, let's try to identify the key control weaknesses, okay? We've had a brief conversation last week. Let's have another discussion to make sure that to enhance our understanding. Key risks associated with the control weaknesses, and also any potential recommendation, okay? You will be allowed, we'll discuss this in the next 10-15 minutes. It will take more than 10 minutes, right? But why don't I allow you like 2 minutes or maybe 3 minutes right now to open the necessary information and have a brief reading yourself to get some brief understanding and idea of the question information and also the response template. So you will find the information in our website, eLearn website assessment 82. And when you go to internal report instruction, you'll be able to find templates. And the one I need you to look at right now is the internal audit control audit report template. And we'll also look at part A. We'll have a guided reading section together, looking at part A, internal report audit instruction. I hope the screen is big enough for you. I'll give you 2 more minutes to open the necessary document and have a brief read of the template and the content. Okay, let's get started. Now, firstly, to help us with comprehensive skills, asking the right question, and also for help us to, put our place in the role play as an internal auditor, and also to make sure that, and to help us to predict, when we read the material in the information in the instructions, when we predict, the information, the requirement of the, why do we need to know this information? The best thing to do is let's start look the exercise by looking at the internal audit report template. Okay, so in the internal audit report template, it's given you a very clear outline of what is required. You will need to provide an introduction. You will need to provide objectives and scope. We will need to look at the organizational structure, which we've previously looked at. And today we'll skip this organization structure part, but you organize or chart part, but you will find the discussion that we had from the last section's recording. Okay, we'll look at staff responsibilities, specific finding, in this case, potential control weaknesses, specific recommendation, timeline, and conclusion. Okay. So in the introduction, we are required to provide brief background information of the business. So what business is it? Is this your internal audit business, or it's your client's business? This will be your client's business, right? So you must provide, so when you read the information on the right, it talks about your agency, it talks about the client agency. What you should be focusing on is your client agency information background. Okay. So in here, we will look at you have to put in the brief background information, 1 or 2 lines only, okay? And then in another paragraph, you need to highlight details of the management's concern. So when you read the information here, we must predict. We almost can jump into the information here and figure out where's the management concern, okay? So why don't we try doing this, okay? So without going into the detail, if we know that we need to provide a brief background of the company, very short background, and also management concern, where should we go? So let's jump to reading our internal audit instructions. So the internal audit instruction is the scenario given to you. Right now, recruitment is a small recruiting agency based in Canberra who find businesses who need contracts accounting staff. While candidates are working for the client, the recruitment agency pay the candidates directly based on the weekly timesheets submitted to the recruitment agency. That's the operation detail. The client then pay a fee to the recruitment agency. Okay, so from here, we can clearly see that we have a brief introduction of the company already. Yeah. So I would think that this first line will have to go to the introduction because it gives you a brief background. If you want to give a bit more detail, you can have the whole first paragraph as your introduction, because that quintessentially talks about the background of the business. Now, we also need to have a paragraph over management concern. So why don't we just search for management concerns? There we go. So without even started reading the whole thing in detail, right, we will be already able to just, gauge and predict where the text is, where do you find the information to put in to respond to the template. So that's a prediction, right? So management's major concern. This will all go straight in the introduction. Does it make sense? It does? Okay. So I'm going to read it out to you, and that will give us a basis of understanding what could be the key potential control, because I assume that we can predict, right? We're reading this, we can predict that the management concern could be contributing to the weaknesses finding that you have. So the management concerns, the agency director concerns that consider that all employees to be trustworthy, but several factors have caused them to want to conduct an internal audit. Okay. They have heard that the internal control is very important. Expenses appear to be too high. So any issues with expense control, we'll start looking, okay, when we go through the readings. The cash at bank balance is lower than expected. Annual bonuses appear to be too high. So is annual bonuses calculation, any issues with the annual bonuses calculation, any segregation of duties problem? Any approval issues with the annual bonus calculation? They are concerned about the security of the accounting data after hearing about another recruitment agency who lost all the data. So cybersecurity issue, data privacy issue, data safety issue. They are also concerned about cybersecurity on the payment of the invoices, and they went as they went to a seminar explaining work emails could be intercepted, causing the business to pay criminal rather than suppliers. So cybersecurity issue. So what we can already do is having a draft right now. So we'll put this information right in here. Don't worry too much about your formatting right now, but we can put this right in here. First one is about the background of the company. And then and then we have to provide management's major concern. I'm happy for you to even put it here, a subheading as well. Obviously, you don't want to be so loud. You go management concerns. Does it make sense? So by looking at your template first and then refer it back to your key material, you can ask those right questions as you go. Okay, making sure that we can get that information at the right place. So let's jump through. Let's go to the staff responsibility. I'll let you do the objective and scope of audit yourself. Okay. With regards to this one, you will be thinking about your role in here. So think about the purpose of the audit, right? So you would think about your role. Again, these are the keywords, right? You have a keyword that's provided to you, your role. So why don't we have a look at your role? There we go. The next section is your role. So you would then be required to provide the information of the purpose of the audit in here. So you work in a large so can I have, well, perhaps can I have Kina to help me to read out your role for me, please? You have to unmute yourself. Kina, you need to unmute yourself. And Mina, can I ask you to turn one of your camera off because it's showing something interesting on my screen. So I think you can keep your phone's camera on, but perhaps have your computer's camera off. Kina, do you know how to unmute yourself? I think we've done that today.
Yes.
Yes, I can hear you now. Would you be able to read out loud your role?
Okay. My role is your role for a large accounting firm, amazing accounting and auditing service. The agent director of the Right Now Recruitment has engaged the service of your firm to conduct an internal audit on their business. You have been appointed by your firm to conduct the audit. You have been asked to review the internal controls of the accounting payroll, and minor breakup functions of the organization, and to provide suggestions for improvements. You will also need to investigate the security and account handling, files, records, data, and payments to suppliers. You will investigate and prepare a formal internal audit report to the agent's director.
That is excellent. Everyone heard Kina's reading? Excellent. Now my question for Kina and for the rest of you, raise your hand if you can answer my question too. So if I start my sentence to be,
Yes.
The purpose of this audit is to, what will be your from your comprehension, from your reading of this paragraph, what will be the purpose of the audit?
The audit is for the company, the internal audit of their business, no?
Yep, but if we refer to the paragraph here, what will be the wordings from the paragraph here? You have been asked to
appointed by your firm's accounting payroll, a function of the organization, and to provide a suggestion for the improvement.
Okay, which means, would it be fair if I just copy and paste this paragraph in here?
Yes, but you also can use your own word.
You can also use your own word. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, but I'm just giving you a direction that
Yeah.
from reading this document, understanding what you're required to do, right, we can be very focused on looking at the keywords and then getting the right information to respond to the
Oh,
question, okay? Because the template tells you to look for your role. They will go to your role, and from reading that, it has a lot of additional information, what your work, what's your background, you're working in a large firm, da 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 da. But the key part is what you're required to do. The purpose of this audit, what you're required to do is to review the internal controls of accounts payable, payroll, MyYop, MyYop backup function, da 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 da. Okay. So then it's another indicator, right? Because all these are the functions that that you need to review. So it's another indicator where you can find the weaknesses of controls from. You must look for weaknesses over, I guess, accounts payable and payroll. You must look for weaknesses over MyYop backup functions. You probably will also look at a security control weaknesses over security on handling files and records and data and payment. You also look at weaknesses over formal internal audit. Sorry. You also look at, then you look at that, and you probably will also figure out, anything that's missing in here. Okay. Now I'm going to give this a dot, make this a dot point so that it's easy for the readers to read, and we'll look at when we'll look at the writing skills, we'll look at the use of dot points and numberings as well. So with the discussion of the first two requirements, first two para section of your internal audit report, I hope that actually shows you the importance of identifying the necessary requirement in your audit report and then reading with a purpose. At times reading aloud will also help as well. Okay. So in the consideration of time, should we work on specific findings, which are the weaknesses? So we know that with the, let's form our prediction. Let's form our expectation. Our expectation is we need to pay attention to annual bonuses calculation. We need to pay attention to security of accounting data. We need to pay attention to cybersecurity and payment of invoices. We need to probably pay attention to MyYop backup. We also will pay attention to issues on handling files and records. Privacy problem, probably. Okay? So from here, what we'll then look at is, let's read the material together quickly, and let's try to identify 3 to 5 control weaknesses. Okay? And what's the key risk associated with the control weaknesses? Please try to jot it down on a paper, because the next thing we'll do is probably in the writing section, we will ask you to write a short paragraph identifying the weaknesses. What should be the right outline and right structure of the paragraph for each weakness, and we'll look at that in the writing section. So for now, let's look at this together. The agency director is responsible for the overall management of the agency and finds clients who require contract accounting staff. The agency has 3 recruitment managers who bring in potential candidates. Recruitment managers match the candidate with the employer. Employers, there is also a full-time office manager who acts as a receptionist. So this office manager as a receptionist, along with performing, also she's really busy. She acts as a receptionist. She's also performing payroll, accounts receivable, accounts payable duties. Okay, all staff report to agency director. The office manager has been employed to perform all reception and administrative functions of the agency. I might be going through a bit quick, but I think we've sort of read that together before. So perhaps let me know if I'm going too quickly. As it is only a small recruitment agency, they can only afford to employ one person to perform these tasks. So if I look at this line here, can one of you suggest to me what kind of weakness that we are expecting? Gracelyn, please unmute yourself. If I look at just this line, as it is the only, as it is a small agency, one person perform all these tasks, what will be the problem? Segregation of duties, excellent. Thank you, Trisha. Thank you, Coco. I've got your answer on in the chat room. Excellent. So that will be something that you will look at, segregation of duties. Oh, Gracelyn, I hope you're fine. That's fine, Gracelyn, it's fine. Look after yourself. Okay, so then the next thing is, with the segregation of duty, how can we justify what are the key control weaknesses, and what will be the key risks associated to it? And you will find those information in your prior learning in all these topic sections that we have on eLearn. Okay, so that will be easy to that you can easily find those information necessary surrounding segregation of duties. Excellent. Okay, so the office manager has been employed. Office manager, they also prepare weekly control. Yeah, I think I've looked at that. Responsible, they prepare weekly control. Okay, so the office manager has been employed to perform all reception and administrative functions of the agency, and it is only a small recruitment agency. They can only afford one person to perform all these tasks. The office manager is responsible for preparing all accounts receivable, accounts payable, and bank transaction. They also prepare the weekly payroll for the candidate and staff of the firm. Accounts payable invoices are usually entered into the accounting system by the office manager after the agency director has approved the invoice. To approve the invoice, the agent director signs and dates a paper copy of the invoice and hands it to the office manager. When the agency director is on leave, the office manager will ask one of the recruitment manager to approve the invoices so that the invoices can be paid on time. And the business is not harassed by the supplier. So this paragraph gives you an information that who can approve those invoices? Agency director. And when agency director is on leave, Mina, who would be the person to approve the invoice?
The person approve the invoice should be the agency director or appointed agency director when the director is absent.
In acting, you're right. Okay,
Yes.
but Gracelyn, Shirley, you're right. So my question is, who will be the other person? Is recruitment manager. So the question that we have is, does the recruitment do the recruitment managers actually have the authority to approve?
No.
Okay, so here is what we say, there's no authority. So would that be a breach? No, thank you, Gracelyn. So that means your other weakness is approval or authority over approval of the invoices. Okay, so that will be insufficient payment approval. Okay, so what will identify? We'll identify in here. So this is in relation to the payable invoices. Okay, so what we can then say here is specific finding. Let's just have the title, right? Don't worry about too much about the so we'll think about payment approval system 4, not candidate timesheets, but that's another one as well. But this one is supply invoices. Okay, so that's issue with insufficient segregation of duty. And now we've identified issues with insufficient payment approval systems. So it is very important when we read that information, we start jotting down, our findings. So that it's like, otherwise we'll be reading the information multiple times, and then we may not be very productive. So a productive way for us to do this assignment is to almost read them in small chunks, read all the information once and also again in small chunks, and then identify the necessary information in small chunks. Okay, so next, timesheet are submitted electronic by the candidate where timesheets are approved by the candidate director of the manager while timesheets are approved by the candidate's direct manager at their place of employment. Staff at the recruitment agency are too busy to review the timesheet for accuracy. Payroll journals and EFT payments are based directly on the submitted timesheet information. The agency trusts the office manager to pay the agency staff correctly, which includes calculating annual bonuses and on the number of candidates placed with the client during the year. So I'm going to give you a hint. I'm seeing two issues here. What will be the two issues? Why don't we read it again for this line, for this paragraph? Kuslin, can you turn off your mute? Can you unmute yourself? Can I ask you to please read this paragraph out?
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Timesheets are submitted electronically by candidates, while timesheets are accrued by the candidates' direct managers at their place of employment. Staff at the recruitment agency are too busy to review the timesheets for accuracy. Payroll
Hold on a
journals-
second, sorry. Hold on. That's exactly right. Lack of review, which is what Ada has just put in the chat. So there was a lack of review of timesheet. Sorry, continue, Kuslin.
Yep. Payroll journals and EFT payments are based directly on the submitted timesheets information. The agency director trusts the office manager to pay the agency staff correctly, which includes calculating the annual bonus based on the number of candidates placed with clients during the year.
So that would be another issue. What would be the issue? Coco, focusing on the last note. So there might be a payment approval system for candidate timesheets. What about the annual bonus? Now that echoes back to our expectation here, right? Because management is concerned that the annual bonus are higher than expected, than the budgeted. Okay, so perhaps there is a insufficient you know, for perhaps use the same word, I'll probably use something better. You could use insufficient review for annual bonus calculation. Yeah. Okay, for the next line, this will be the last paragraph that we'll read together. I think we've identified a couple of 5 to 6 as a team. That will be great. So the recruitment agencies, the recruitment agency uses MyYob to record all accounting and payroll transactions. The MyYob program is installed in one PC only, which is the office for the office managers use. All information recorded in MyYob is saved to the office manager PC. The office manager prepares a backup of MyYob each day onto a USB drive, okay, and store the USB drive in the bottom drawer of the office desk. As the office manager is the only staff who knows how to use MyYob, they haven't worried about setting a user identification and password. So looking at this paragraph, what could be the two potential weaknesses? Anyone? Looking at this paragraph, data loss, love it. So the way we then put it is data loss due to loss of the USB or lack of security, no password. Okay, so Coco touched base on cybersecurity. I assume what Shirley meant is a physical security, right? So that means perhaps there's a potential loss and theft of the backup data on USB. You only have a backup data on USB. It's in a drawer and it's not secured. Okay, so the way we can probably fix this is the recommendation is to have it secured in your drawer. Make sure it's locked. Only limited people will have the key, etc., etc. Okay, so that will be your recommendation, which we'll probably look at in the writing, enhancing writing skill section if we have time. They should back up, exactly right, on the cloud. So that's right, Shelley. So what you are saying here is perhaps they need to think about migration to the cloud, because really my job is now available in cloud. Then why can't we just use in cloud? So my stop on one computer instead of cloud. Excellent point, Shirley. Love it. Okay, so on Coco, lack of securities, there is low password. So if I want to put it in the as an issue, could I say would you agree, Coco, that it's a privacy of data issue? Because when you lost the data, when you have low password and you lost the data, what happened? Which is your information of your clients, personal information of your clients, for example, birthday, etc., salary, supplier information, etc., will be lost. So I would say that is a key problem, a cybersecurity issue over privacy. Okay, thank you, Coco. Now, I think that's sufficient for us, in the previous hour or so, we've looked at, the questions and the template, and how important for us to read the template and ask the right question and predict the necessary information to answer to respond in our internal order control template. So to conclude, our class activity, let's recap on what we've learned today. We've learned that it's important for us to read out loud. It is also important for us to ask questions when we read a lot of information. Okay. We've learned that sometimes by reading the material in small chunks, it's going to help us in understanding the information. And when we read the material, we try to avoid the situation where we're recognizing the word. Instead, we think about the content. We ask questions. We try to link the information in the instructions to our working template. Okay, so what's the next step? I would really appreciate, I'm going to send you a link, and you will see the link in the section as well, for a forum. I would really appreciate you share your reflection on, how can we be a better reader, etc. I'll give you the instructions after the class. And perhaps in a teacher announcement, and tell you where to go. I really appreciate if you can put some of your reflection and comments in the group forum. That will be really, really appreciated. Now, on this note, any question? No? All good? If I can ask you to bring out your phone, and as always, it is very important for us as teachers to have feedback from you. And if you can bring out your phone and scan this QR code and put in the passcode of TWXYTT. I'd appreciate for you to give me some feedback, more on how can we help you better in improving your reading skills, or whether positive comment also are welcome, or negative comment on how we go with this section. So any comment will be appreciated, and it's quite cool, this platform. You will immediately see your comment on the screen. So please, may I ask all of you to take out your phone? It's not compulsory, but I really appreciate if you can give me some feedback over the enhancing reading skills session. Thank you very much. All this information is actually recorded and I'll put on the online class information as well. So you'll be able to see our key discussion, particularly over the witnesses. So the effort today we made as a group will not be lost. I'll give you a couple more minutes to complete some feedback. Thank you very much. I'm glad to see this feedback. Personal sharing is, as you can hear from my accent, the Gangalian accent no is a poor joke. So as you can hear from, as you can see, I'm actually, English is my second, it's not my first language as well. But I do find that what we are lacking from an English reading or writing point of, from you know, from lacking in the language or a literature background will be compensated by effective reading and comprehension. I think that helped me a lot, and I've hope sharing my experience will help you a lot in your future study as well. We'll have 2 more minutes and then we'll take 5 minutes break and we'll come back for the second part of our class. Please, if you're not typing, feel free to go and grab yourself some water, stretch, have some break time from the screen, make yourself comfortable. We'll have a break and then we'll come back for the second part of the class. And there's no rush. This feedback forum will be open anyway, so your feedback will be heard and how we can help you better. I'm always looking to improve, looking to improve, you know, your study journey and be your partner. Think about it that way. Okay, so why don't we start our break? Let me actually stop the recording first. Thank you very much for your participation. You are now largely ready to start your AT2. Largely ready. Okay. Back class, I just want to follow up on a discussion we on our last section. I have added, and I'm pleased I asked you to please do that for yourself and for me as well. It would greatly, it's probably helpful for you and helpful for me to continue my support for you. So I have added in your e-learn right in section 10.1 a forum. So I really would appreciate you to please go into the forum and not do it now, but later. We're very familiar with using the forum, given we all are students. We've done so many forum posting in business simulations class. So what I would really appreciate you to do is to go into the forum and add a topic. Perhaps put your name in, your name as, you know, say for example, Ada, and reflection of don't mind me putting you on the spot, Ada. I'm not going to put it in the reflection for you, but two key takeaways. So then you can put, one of the first takeaway is, the second takeaway is, you can just put posting takeaway. Maybe I'll just go Lillian. I'll start it by Lillian. 2 key takeaways, which is reading aloud helps understanding the key content. And the second one I've learned probably is reading the response template and build the expectation of prediction, and build the expectations of information required in the, I guess, in the while reading the 82 instructions. Helps to reading the helps to build expectations of information, of the relevant information required while reading 82 instructions. So I think my two key takeaways, it could be the same as you. Feel free to use that as well. But my two key takeaways would be these 2 key takeaways, and then I'll just go post to forum. So that's my example. So I really appreciate if you can add a topic, a discussion topic, identify who you are, two key takeaways, so I can, or maybe 2 asks, so whatever that you want me to do better, you can put it here as well. So thank you very much. I appreciate in advance your effort on filling up the, on participating in the forum.